Welcome back to a Celtic state of mind. It's all fun and games here at Acsom Towers. It's 3-0. Celtic are up at half-time. We were talking about putting this team to the sword, Kevin, and that's exactly what we've done in that first half.
Oh yes, it's been an absolute joy to watch that first 45 minutes, and maybe for the first time in Acsom history, I might get a score prediction right.
Did you say 5 or 7?
I said 5, but I'm sure it was 5. If it turns out to be 7 in the end, I'll happily go and rewrite history and we'll tell everyone I said it was 7. But we're playing that way where we could hit 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. It's almost up to us now how much we want to go out and really inflict some damage on Livy, because that has been quite possibly the most controlled and dominating first half we've put in this season. It's been absolutely brilliant to watch.
It definitely has. Laura, I think when you spoke in the pre-match, we were basically talking about, how it adds a wee bit of needle if somebody starts with all the chat and the mind games, and Kevin was saying there's no way you're going to beat Ange at the mind games, and you could put it up on the dressing room wall and all this kind of stuff. We really have dominated like never before in that first half. It's a horrible night, rain swirling all around the stadium, and we've managed just to stick to our principles. And a big part of that has been obviously the ability of players like Hatate and O'Reilly to split a defence open. We'll start off with the goal that's just been scored, right? And here are some comments coming in. Marquis, what's a ball from O'Reilly? Hugo finishing in style. And we've also got Jockspur and many others saying this. How about that O'Reilly pass? He has made a couple of inspired ones. I remember being on the pitch side at Celtic Park and looking across and wondering how on earth anybody could spray a ball from one side of the park to the other. It's massive. And when you see that pass from O'Reilly... Oh, by the way, did you know that Peter Grant worked with Matt O'Reilly early in his career? He's not mentioned it much. And when you see that...
No, he's never mentioned that once.
Were you aware of that, Laura? That pass from O'Reilly was just unbelievable.
Peter Grant taught him that one, I think.
I think he did. I've seen Granty doing that a few times. But O'Reilly's come in for probably the guy who's been on the top form in Moy, and he's been pivotal to that performance in the first half.
Listen, I think it was about time that happened as far as Matt O'Reilly's concerned, and not to do the guy down. He's had a bit of a tough time recently with form and things like that, but there was going to come a point where his class was going to show through if he was going to fight for his place over Aaron Moy, and a pass like that for Kyogo for the goal is exactly what we're looking for. And it's the type of thing that he's always been capable of but hasn't shown enough of recently. So it's good to see him coming back in and doing something like that. And maybe speaks a lot for his character. We talked a lot about how Aaron Moy is, reliable and, not going to cause too much fuss and not going to, upset the apple cart if he's left out. Well, O'Reilly doesn't seem to have done that either. He seems to have bided his time, worked hard. He's got an opportunity tonight and he's taken it. And as for Kyogo, I've said this before about him. Give him too much time to think and he'll inevitably miss the chance, but let him rely on instincts and he usually puts it away, and he's done it again tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult actually to talk about that goal and focus entirely on O'Reilly's pass, Kevin. Let's not forget Kyogo had a lot to do, and there's a lot of interesting comments coming in here. Jock Sporin says that it was like VAR was determined to find a reason to disallow the third goal. Oh, we can't get them on the foul. Let's check for offside. Danielle's thinking along the same lines. They're literally pulling it back to find anything they can to chop off our goals. It's embarrassing.
There was another comment just before you brought up Gary Melrose. It's basically along those same lines as well. The VAR's there to highlight clear and obvious errors, not to kind of pull it back and just find anything. And that's almost what it felt like with that goal.
It did.
Because I'm watching that and it's going to the VAR check and you're thinking, well, why? Because he's not offside. He's not close enough that he's been able to touch the Livy player and knock him to the ground or anything like that when the ball's come over the top. So there's no infringement by Kyogo. What could they possibly be looking to bring that back for? And then it's how Celtic win the ball in the first place. And it really is, you get the feeling it's just clutching at straws to find anything now.
You know, the thing Peter Grant mentioned in that first half, O'Reilly wasn't great at defensive work in his younger days, Laura. The thing with O'Reilly, though, I think that there comes a point in a player's Celtic career where they've got to face a loss of form. And that's all it is. You know, it doesn't make you a bad player. It doesn't mean that your head's been turned by another team coming up to the January transfer window. The guy's form dipped a wee bit. Moy came in and grabbed the jersey, and that was the end of it, really. But when you get that sniff of a chance again, you've got to perform. And, you know, I'm not saying it was last chance saloon or anything like it, but O'Reilly had to perform tonight to keep the jersey. And I think you then look at the next selection dilemma that Ange has, and it's a great dilemma for him to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Ange has said it plenty of times. Any player who isn't happy with being left out of the team at Celtic has an attitude problem all of their own, and I think that seems to be the case with this group of players that he's got, that they don't get frustrated by being left out. They get emboldened and they get encouraged by it, and Matt O'Reilly's done that again tonight. I'm just really encouraged that we've got strong choices, and that's before even you go on and talk about Iwata, or you go on and talk about other players who aren't even part of the conversation. The fact you've got two players of the calibre of O'Reilly and Moy fighting it out for a place in the team, and that's only because you can't displace players of the quality of Hatate and McGregor in that midfield. It's a situation it's not too many years since we were playing defensive midfielders at centre back and all that kind of thing, and you were getting slagged off for saying, oh, he's not being played out of position. If he's been played there all season, that means he must be that position now. No, that was years and years of, making square pegs fit round holes, and Ange is not about that. He's about getting quality for each position and getting numbers in quality for each position, and the Moy O'Reilly battle is just evidence of that.
It definitely is. The only thing I would say about Kyogo, I think you make a good point, Laura, about that tendency for him to, when given a moment, not have that, spontaneity that you see in the League Cup final last season, for example. There's no thought to that. It's just a natural instinct when that ball's coming down to him. And that's when I think he's at his most lethal. His goal scoring rate this season has been phenomenal. Another player who was coming in for some criticism at a certain stage this season, and Ange came out and said, his performances haven't dipped. He continued to play him, and the goals started to come back again. But one thing that Kevin and I discussed back in the day that broke Jim Goodwin in Aberdeen when we beat them 1-0, Kevin, was the tendency for us to zip the balls at pace right across the face of goals, right into the 6-yard box. And, Kyogo wasn't getting on the end of them. How many times have we done that tonight, by the way? There's been 3 or 4 occasions where all we needed was somebody on the end of these very quick, crosses in from left and right. We've had it from both sides. And if you just had somebody in there, you're looking at 5 or 6-0 at half time.
Yeah, I was noticing that in the first 10, 15 minutes or so. Just the amount of times Maeda was getting in down the left-hand side and Jota down the right, and as you say, it's that kind of whipped in or low drilled ball into the near post.
Abada loves that kind. Loves that kind of ball.
Just to go and attack it.
Yep.
And yeah, that's the one he thrives on, coming in at the back post. But the way we were playing and the way the way we were playing, I suppose, is how you say it. It almost didn't matter that no one was getting on the end of them at that time, because we had so much control and dominance. It was literally only a matter of time before we did score and before one of them would go in. And I'm going to say the second goal goes along that lines, because it's a similar kind of delivery that O'Reilly's put in. He's whipped it into that 6-yard area, the really dangerous ball that becomes difficult to defend. And you've got to give Maeda all the credit in the world, because he's just gone and closed the defender down, and done the thing of, if the ball hits me, there's a chance it's going to go in, and it did. So yeah, it's the type of ball that we need to just keep on playing and getting in there. Maybe in the second half, if we can bring on maybe he's the type of striker that will thrive on those balls as well and look to attack that 6-yard space. You'd think it's maybe something that Ange has been looking at as well with whoever the next striker is that's coming in. So 3-0 up, you'd like to think the game's won. Why not get on quite early in the second half and give him a chance to get a couple of goals and get me my 5-0 win?
I would like to see that. I would like to see if he is that type of striker. We had a 8-minute cameo against Dundee United. So yes, at some point in that second half, let's have a look at Chris Higgins, hail from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Wow, what a place that is, by the way. St. Lucia, and you're tuning in to a Celtic state of mind. I love that. That is tremendous. Of course, you could be in Kelty and Fife for all I know, but the very fact that you've said you're in St. Lucia, I'm not going to deny that that's the case. Now, Maeda's never had a lay-on like that since we played Kilmarnock, and Lafferty laid him on for the goal he scored that day as well, Laura. But he's got to be in the positions, and that's what Maeda's great at. He's just getting himself into these positions. I think his defensive performance tonight as well has been superb. He's a guy that if he or somebody else loses the ball, he makes it his mission to get it back. And it's the work rate. Other people around about him are getting the plaudits recently, but Maeda's consistency, and in particular since the World Cup, has put him right up the top as far as I'm concerned of the performers in the Celtic side as well. And he got a bit of stick earlier this season as well, didn't he?
He did. He's had a bit of a renaissance, much like Moy after the World Cup. And I think he's one of those players who maybe it takes a while for people to appreciate and understand exactly what it is that he does. Because, like you say, he does so much defensively. Some people maybe expect him to be, because he's an attacking player, more of a goal threat and more of a out-and-out striker than he actually is. But like Kevin says, he puts himself in the right position so often that, okay, you can say it's luck that it hit off him in the way that it did. But the fact of the matter is, as Kevin said, if he's not there for it to hit off him, then it doesn't go in. And him being there is showing the right instincts as far as that's concerned. But again, he's just proof of what Ange is looking for: players who work hard, players who have industry, players who have determination, and that bit of skill to go with it. But before we go back to you, I just want to say I've decided what my song is for O when he scores. Anybody who knows the first song in The Greatest Showman, The Greatest Show, where it starts, oh, ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. I think that's got to be it. That's got to ring out across Celtic Park when he scores.
I'd love to hear it. I would absolutely. And by the way, that was an excellent rendition, and I look forward to hearing that from yourself.
The terrible thing is, I literally said before this match, I can hold a tune, and then absolutely didn't display it there at all.
Well, the thing is, the good thing about that, Laura, is that it's out there for everybody to watch back as often as they please. The other goal, of course, was scored by someone else who's been at the top of the kind of charts when people are talking about best performers in a Celtic jersey this season. And it's Greg Taylor, who obviously has been injured, came back in against Dundee United. People said he was a wee bit rusty. What a strike, Kevin McCluskey. He is, for me, he's been a revelation under Ange Postecoglou. He really has been. And when he's popping up and scoring goals like that as well and really enjoying it, it just shows you how important he has been to this Ange revolution, doesn't it?
Oh, I think he's the most improved player probably under Ange. And I've said before, and we'll need to do it one time, we're going to do another podcast and I'm just going to talk about Greg Taylor and how good he is and how well he fits into that team. And the fact, and the way that he's changed his game to become the fullback that Ange wanted and needed.
And Kev Graham knew he was that fullback. Kev Graham knew that Taylor was the player he's shown us all that he is.
I'm not surprised to hear that because Kev Graham is the man. He's got all the insights. But it was a fantastic goal. But the whole move to it was brilliant because it starts with Carter Vickers stepping forward and making that interception. I'm sure it was Carter Vickers in the pass straight to Johnson, ball over the top for Hatate. But once it gets to Taylor, his first touch, I think, is brilliant because it creates a wee bit yard of space for to get the shot in, and the technique as well, kind of looking away from goal almost to whip his foot around it and place it back in the far corner. There's pace on it, there's power in it, there's accuracy right in the corner. The keeper's got no chance. It's a fantastic goal, and a player that really deserves that because he's been phenomenal this season. I don't think that's too high a word to use. I think he's been a phenomenal player for us, and it's great to see him getting in amongst the goals because fullbacks can often be a wee bit undervalued when they don't chip in with goals. But he's getting in there now, so he's getting all the recognition that he truly deserves. So yeah, chuffed to bits for him with that one.
He definitely is. Are you still sticking with your 5-0, Kevin? Anything can happen tonight. We've had a sing-song from Laura. We've had a goal by Greg Taylor. Anything can happen tonight. You sticking with 5-0?
I'm going to stick with 5-0. Aye.
Brilliant. I'd love to see it. Love to see it. Laura, what do you reckon? 5-0?
I'm going to go one better. I'm going to go, we'll get the 5-0, make a few changes, and get us the 6th. So there you go.
Nice one. Listen, we'll be back at full time. Yeah, why not? We'll be back at full time. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved in the comments section. All that's left for me to say is thank you once again, Kevin McCluskey and Laura Bradburn, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.